Well, I think it's time for me to come around and issue an apology to the Philadelphia 76ers front office. I think I need to come around. Do you know why? Because I was adamant about them making a trade for Ben Simmons to get John Wall, right? Just so they could get that guy out of there without giving up any assets. And their mantra, or rather, um, way of doing things in this situation, what they were planned to do was let him sit, hold out, do everything that they have done, call his bluff, all of the stuff, and wait for the right deal because they figured one of these stars or someone would get disgruntled as the start of the season became, as it would. Some guys would start, being either disgruntled or ultimately underperform, and they could swing for a superstar player. Now, I didn't rule out the possibility of that working. I just felt like they were putting on a display that made them look bad, that was ultimately bad for the player, Ben Simmons, and all of those things I still stand by. But to call their bluff wasn't the wrong decision. To call Ben's bluff wasn't the wrong decision, and that is what I'm here to make sure I clarify or say that I've learned. I am learning that sometimes you just should kind of just, when you have all the cards, maybe it does benefit you to use the clock to your advantage, and that's exactly what they did. And now things are starting to open up to where they are going to be able to get Ben Simmons out of there for probably something better than what I thought. That's what's happening. Like, it's manifesting that some of these players are starting to look around and say, you know what, either I'm not in a great fit, or maybe the organization is looking at the player and saying, you know what, maybe we want to move in a different direction, which is why I'm here. Because if you guys have been following me over these last couple videos, I've been saying that I think the Lakers should try to offer up Russell Westbrook for Ben Simmons. Now, never did I dream that I would say something like that, even though I predicted this very outcome for my team. In terms of us being 500 through this many games, I actually said that in one of the videos. Because, it made sense. We were going to start off, slow, because we didn't have an offense to begin with, because we had a new player who was going to have to be worked into the offense as a focal point, and he was an awkward fit, and I didn't know how they were going to figure that out. It's a bad fit to begin with, and we don't have an imaginative coach offensively to kind of come up with some elaborate package of plays that'll make this thing come together. That was understood then. I knew Frank Vogel wasn't going to be any good at that. The problem was, I figured the rest of the players on the team, like LeBron James and Rondo and people like that, would come up with something themselves. It's not coming along. Through 15 games, I thought I'd see some improvement. I figured we'd be 500 because the field would beat us. I didn't think we'd be getting blown out like this. I didn't think we would look this bad, and of course I didn't predict that LeBron James would be missing games, or that we'd have all these injuries. But even in the event that we do have all these injuries, I still can't sit with the fact that with the decisions that have been made, with the limited options that we've had, it seems like the decisions that we've made have been the wrong decisions to make. The buttons that Frank has pressed are not working. But whatever is going on in that locker room at halftime, it's got guys coming out even more lackadaisical than they started the game with. Every night, consistently. AD's attitude to me seems laissez-faire. Russell Westbrook seems to be just unhappy and playing poorly. And everything that he seems to be doing just seems to accentuate his weaknesses, and doesn't seem to be putting him in a position to get comfortable. We're not doing anything to make him comfortable, not putting him in positions to run with players that help him with his rhythm, or run the sequences that allow players to have more ball movement go on down there, more player movement rather, while the offense is taking place. This guy standing around waiting for somebody to shoot a jumper. There are things you can do to make this thing a bit better, even when you are limited in your roster. You can still have guys doing stuff differently, and that's my problem. Schematic stuff. And I pointed them out from video to video since the season started. Various stuff about rebounding and positioning and defensive effort and some of the shot selection at times. Obviously, certain things that are happening with Russell Westbrook's turnovers and how he's put in the positions to continue to make those passes. At some point, you just got to take the responsibility out of the players' hands who are performing, and look at the coach and say, well, what do you have them doing, man? What are you saying to these people? What are you putting on the bulletin board? Why is it that they continue to look so poor and not seem to be getting any better in any of the areas that you want to see them get better at? And maybe I'm exaggerating in saying that because I have seen some improvement, but not to the degree that makes me feel good about keeping them going forward. And that's where I'm at with that. So, as far as looking at the situation to see that my team ultimately became the team that was most disgruntled with our player and would love to make a trade for Ben Simmons. Because right now, that's exactly where I'm at. That's why I had to apologize to Philly, because I obviously was wrong about them calling his bluff. Because the Lakers were going to be the ones that come calling saying, yo, could we please have Ben Simmons? Now, I don't know that the Laker organization is doing that, but I'm telling you, if I was running them, I'd be. Because Russell Westbrook's contract is just going to be a very, very, very hard thing to manage. I mean, he's making 30-something now, but by the end of that thing, I think he's going to be making like $50-something million on that final year. Like, if Russell Westbrook playing this bad at 33, I don't want to see how bad his defense going to be at 37. At 50-something a year, you know how hard it's going to be to build around him and an old LeBron James? That's assuming LeBron is still here for that. I wouldn't be. If I'm stuck to that Russell Westbrook contract and I'm LeBron James, I'm sitting there like, bro, I ain't got 4 years to give y'all in him. Like, I know I asked for him to be here, but I was wrong. Y'all stuck. I'm out. And that's what you don't want LeBron to say. Would that look bad for LeBron? Yeah, it would look bad for LeBron. Would you rule it out? Nah. Wouldn't be the first time he did something like that. You don't mind looking bad? He left Cleveland twice. He'll leave you. All I'm saying is stop the bleed. I can see it coming. Some stuff you just see coming, man. And the Lakers not winning a championship, totally see that coming. That's not going to be a surprise to anyone. But we could turn everything around if we just make a few very, very, very difficult decisions. 1, fire the coach. 2, trade our beloved Russell Westbrook. Trade him for Ben Simmons if at all possible. I wouldn't say Kyrie Irving. Nope. Because Kyrie does nothing for our defense. I don't think we'd be that much better, and I don't think he wants to play with LeBron James. I think that would be worse for our chemistry. I think that would be actually worse. And you can't trust Kyrie to even stay healthy, even if his mind's right. His bones break easily, so I would not do that. John Wall, them leg injuries, I'm cool. I'd rather have Russell, to be honest with you. Even though I think we'd play better with John Wall, I think we're less likely to have him on the floor for the 4 years. There's only a few contracts out there I'd actually think I'd make a deal. Like, let's say if I wanted to trade Russell Westbrook for some of the deals that are out there for Ben Simmons, that doesn't make us better. Why would we do that? Break Russell's heart just to get a little marginally better? I don't think that would be the move for Genie Bus. So, as far as I'm concerned, the only person I would really do this for is either Ben Simmons or better. And ain't nobody going to be offered anytime soon that's better. So, that's why I would do that deal. Bad contract for bad contract. I'd rather have Ben. He's younger, he's bigger, better defensively. Only thing that makes me concerned about Ben Simmons, not the shooting, believe it or not, it's the free throw shooting. I just feel like if he can't hit free throws and he's going to be bashful and in his head and all kinds of stuff, shooting 30% from the line, that negates my entire theory that bringing him in makes us better. It would. It was a lateral move at best if he's going to be the Ben Simmons we saw in the playoffs last year. But I don't think he's going to be that guy. I think a lot of time has passed since then. I think he's been going through a lot with the situation he's been through, and I think as soon as he gets on the court, he's going to be so happy to be out there, especially if he's going to be elsewhere, away from Philadelphia. And mind you, this is where he wants to be. So I think he would be very happy to put on purple and gold. Now, would the fit be much better than Russell Westbrook? Honestly, I'd be lying if I said it would be. But again, you're stuck with something. And what I'm saying is I'd rather have that something than this something, because at least that something helps me in more areas than this something, and that something is younger. So it's just which horrible contract would you rather have? Now, in a perfect world, none of this. For me, what I want to have happen is Russell Westbrook contract to just kind of not represent so much of our cap some magical way. You know what I mean? He still get his money, and we have him actually represented at maybe like $20 million. That way we can get players we want. Like, shrink his representation in cap. That's a wonderful miracle if something like that could ever happen, but that's not reality, and so on and so forth. So you have to trade for his value. You have to get rid of his contract and bring in that value of money. So it becomes a question. Who would you rather have? And in Philadelphia's case, of course, it's Ben Simmons, but they don't have that option apparently because he's not going to get back on the floor for them. So they're going to have to settle for something other than Ben Simmons. And I think Russell Westbrook's probably not the best deal they're going to get, but I don't know. That's pretty much where the thought ends. You know what I mean? I wouldn't do it if I'm Daryl Morey. The end. But as a Laker fan, it's definitely something I want because we need something like that to happen for us. So, for the time being, and more so on the realistic side of things, I think Philadelphia is in the catbird seat to get a good deal, and that is why, maybe solely because of the presence of Russell Westbrook struggling is bad, right? They can use that leverage in any deal that's being talked about right now, at this point. So we'll see. We'll see if the rumors start to spread because I'm putting them out there, and I feel like I've thought this out a little bit. I feel like I have. I understand the magnitude of quitting on a player like that. Or giving up on him when his value's low. But I'm not looking at it as thinking that he can't get better or that there's no path at all to winning ever or nothing like that. It's not that pessimistic. It's just understanding that that contract is attached to us. And if he continues to struggle, there's no room for LeBron James to get a championship. Do you understand what I'm saying? I'm looking at it from a standpoint of LeBron James then feels trapped in a losing situation, for which all he can just do is leave, demand a trade himself, and that then takes everything away from us because we can clearly see that AD is not a superstar A1 guy. I love him to death, but he don't have that motor. It ain't there. We're seeing it's very clear to us. Look, he's not. So you're going to need LeBron James if you're going to have any chance at a championship. So, that's where my head is, y'all. Now, I don't know if Ben Simmons is going to make LeBron stay. But what I will say is if LeBron were to leave, I'd rather be left with Ben Simmons and Anthony Davis than Anthony Davis and Russell Westbrook. That's what I'm saying to you. So, that's what I got, man. Sorry, Philly. I was wrong about some of that. I still think that ultimately you want to treat the kid with some respect, and I think you've been forced to by the voice of public opinion has been forcing y'all to consider his mental state, and I think we've heard less about this because of it. But at the end of the day, we are seeing that bluff that y'all called is working. So yeah, that's that.